All right, so we're going to look through another magazine. We're going to look through a Game Fan magazine.
Which was my favorite magazine.
I had
Not my favorite issue of the magazine, but my favorite magazine to read because they had the best screenshots. They had the most hardcore coverage, I'd say.
Well, I had a slightly more experience with Game Informer from around the time because a friend of mine got a subscription, I think, through Funko Land or something.
Right.
So let's just get right into it.
All right. So next, we are looking at Game Fan, Volume 5, Issue 10.
I don't really know what... I can't find anywhere on here what year or month that is, but we're clearly in PlayStation...
Yes, this is probably... I'm guessing...
Oh, here we go. N64 exclusive Diddy Kong Racing. So this is probably... Diddy Kong Racing was not announced until, I want to say, 3 months before it came out.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so this is probably around, I would say, August. This is probably I would say August, give or take a month or two.
Okay,
Not
well,
97.
As soon as we get inside, we're going to find out.
Okay.
Because, that would make sense because Tomb Raider 1 came out in 96, I think.
Okay.
And then it was yearly from that point on.
Oh. You forget that, people talk bad about yearly franchises these days, like Assassin's Creed and which is taking this year off actually, and Call of Duty. But it's easy to forget that there were big franchises back in these days too that were yearly.
Well, yeah, Tomb Raider was probably the one that was considered yearly. That wasn't a sports game.
But there were only 3 main Tomb Raiders on the PlayStation, right?
No. There was Tomb Raider 1, 2, 3, Last Revelation, Chronicles, and one more, I think.
Those were all on PlayStation?
Yes.
Really? That's so much more vast than I realized.
Maybe Last Revelation 1, 2, 3, then there was maybe something else. I feel like there were 6, but there might have been 5.
Wow. Well,
let's see. So you're saying August 97?
I'm going to say August 97. I'm going to say August to September.
All right.
Oh, here's GoldenEye. That was released in August 97.
Yeah,
You're mashing down your vintage magazine, man.
Well, what are we going to do? Whatever.
People I don't think expected GoldenEye to be much of anything.
Yeah, I certainly didn't.
And I didn't really know that much about James Bond at the time. Really, this was my gateway into getting into the broader Bond series, getting into the movies. When a friend of mine got that, I remember he was telling me about it, and he's like, you I don't know if you have much experience with GoldenEye, but the second level, it was it's not just a shooter. I was reading how the game makes you have to think too. There's these tanks that you have to blow up in one level, and you have to blow up 8 tanks, but you only have 4 mines. So you have to put the mines between the tanks. Huh? Pretty clever.
It's a big deal. You gotta think too.
But yeah, my friend got that. He happened to have You Only Live Twice on VHS.
Mm-hmm.
And we're like, well, let's watch that. And then we watched the GoldenEye movie. And then over time, he just started buying more and more of the Bond movies on VHS. And he eventually had the whole collection, just buying one at a time. Eventually had the whole series on VHS. And we every time we were over at his house, we just put a Bond movie on the background. We just watched them all the time. But yeah, this was kind of my intro to Bond. And, I used to think, at the time I was getting into Bond, Pierce Brosnan was he was Bond.
Yeah.
For a long time, I thought he was
Look at how young he looks.
Yeah, he looks so old now.
I know.
But, for a long time, he was, my vision of what Bond was. He was...
Yeah.
And I think he's got, the look of Bond, but in retrospect, going back and revisiting the Pierce Brosnan movies now, I think he probably has the least personality of any of the Bonds.
Yeah, I'd agree with that,
He's
too.
pretty flat character.
Yeah. Oh, Nightmare Creatures.
I've got a funny story. I don't know if it was Nightmare Creatures or Nightmare Creatures 2. I want to say it was probably Nightmare Creatures 2. I did reviews for a small dinky site called Techno Gaming.
Mm-hmm.
back in these days. You know, just a site run by teenagers, you know.
Yeah.
But somehow the guy that ran it was on like, you know, PR lists for some of these publishers, several publishers.
Huh.
And I realized after a time, you know, he was able to get some, you know, games for review. The only good game that I wanted for review, and he thought he could get, and he eventually did get it, was Rayman 2.
Mm-hmm.
But realizing that I would be waiting forever and ever and ever and ever for these good games because he was not high up on their priority list, I asked to be sent the crappy games. And I got them, I reviewed them, on at least one or two occasions, I traded them into FuncoLand.
Yeah.
For, like, the week before they released.
They probably love that.
I know, and you got like at least like $30, no matter how crappy the game was.
Yeah.
If it was like brand new, you got at least $30. I paid nothing for this, so it was a great way for me to get games while I was younger.
Yeah.
But I got the PlayStation version of it was probably Nightmare Creatures 2.
Yeah.
And you know, I thought it was terrible. I really, though, you know, at the time I was expecting it to be bad. I kind of wonder if I went back, maybe it wouldn't. How bad could it be? Maybe it's not that bad.
I don't know.
It's probably
I remember it being pretty bad.
It's probably pretty bad.
All right, here we go.
Ed Zone.
Here he is.
Who is it?
The mullet himself, Dave Halverson. So this is before Dave Halverson would leave the magazine.
Okay.
And go on to create Gamers Republic.
Oh, okay.
But he's been he's known because he had a mullet. I believe. I hope I don't get him messed up with something else. Let's look at the date here.
Oh. It's got to be somewhere.
October 1997.
Oh, I was close.
But a lot of these had a 3-month lead time, so this was probably put together in August.
Yeah, good guessing.
Yeah.
Is this like their team?
Yeah, they all had, you know.
It's like a lot of people.
Yeah. I mean, this is before like the big changeover. I think like probably within a year or so is when when Halverson would leave and a lot of other people.
Where was this created?
In California.
All right.
Fighting Force, another. This was like, you know, after Tomb Raider 1, like Eidos, and Core was like riding high. They, you know, Fighting Force was kind of like their first game. I feel like it was their first game out after the first Tomb Raider.
It looks kind of cool. Like
this is the one that was originally supposed to be Streets of Rage 4.
Really?
Yes.
But how would that be? Because that's like Sega developed that, right?
I don't know how it worked out, but it was supposed to be like this was like built from what was supposed to be.
I mean, that makes a ton of sense because this girl looks like Blaze.
Yeah. I mean, it's a brawler. 3D brawler.
I mean, didn't you record some footage of it for the PlayStation episode?
Yes,
I
have it on PSN.
Okay, yeah, I mean...
It's not an expensive game. If you saw it, you'd probably like it.
I mean, I'm not a big brawler guy, but in the past, like, year and a half, I really got into Streets of Rage 1 and 2. I really liked them.
Yeah. Oh, look at this.
Oh, man! This had, been out just a few months. It's to a human what headlights are to a deer. That makes no sense.
Well, yeah, it does. Like you're staring at it.
You're staring at it because it's so amazing.
Yeah. So this is 97. This was my first year of college. So this was probably like the game had probably just come out like not a few months, probably like
when this
weeks.
magazine was written.
Yeah, it was still a little ways away. Like when people bought this.
Oh, it came out in September, right?
October. So it was like.
But the game came out in September, right?
Right. This was.
Okay. For some reason, I was thinking it came out like June or something.
The game was probably not even a month old at that point in the U.S.
That's nuts to think about. Such a landmark game being a baby at this time.
Let's move it to the center here. Isn't it? It's a great ad, though. I mean, you can look at it and be like... I
mean, it's dumb phrasing, like... It's
typical 90s kind of...
Very typical 90s sort of thing, but it's also like... It doesn't even begin to capture the feeling of this game and how huge it is.
Yeah.
Like, this is monumental stuff. I hate this trend of people saying, oh, Final Fantasy VII really wasn't that great. Screw you. Final Fantasy VII is freaking amazing and holds up. It is amazing. Amazing.
I like that. It's pretty interesting, though, that it's just, it has this and you don't even know until you look down in the corner that it's Final Fantasy.
All right. Oh, we don't even get to the contents until here. Yep. Let's not look too much.
Right. I've never played this. I don't know.
Mace: The Dark Age. I remember N64 and PlayStation. Isn't this like a first-person, Oh, no, it's a fighting game.
Yeah, it looks like a fighting game.
I think I'm confusing it with, was it id or either id or Epic did a first-person, Quake or Doom style, medieval game. What's it called? I've always been kind of curious.
Hexen?
Maybe it's Hexen. Maybe that's what I'm thinking of.
That was a first-person shooter.
But it's sort of medievally. Whatever it is I'm thinking of. I don't know if it's Hexen or not. Drawing a blank. What's this?
This is Treasures of the Deep. I've never played this, but it's kind of just like an underwater exploring.
PlayStation?
Namco.
Oh, Namco.
Yeah.
So is it kind of like Endless Ocean for the Wii?
Maybe.
Sort of just
I've never
exploration?
played it. I'm sure there's more to it, but
14 treasure hunting missions, including Antarctica. All right.
Never played it.
Oh, I've always been intrigued by games like that, but never really played them.
So look at the top 10 most wanted.
It's cut off.
I know. But you'll realize once we get in this magazine, GameFan was known for having the best looking screenshots. And kind of a very busy and kind of at times distracting layout, but have you ever gone through a GameFan magazine before?
I mean, probably.
You're gonna think it's pretty.
I've read more Game Informers than Game Fans. I would say.
Well, GameFan was the king for me. You're gonna find out. You'll see how some of the stuff look. Look at this. Most Readers Most Wanted is
Readers Top 10. These are games that are already out, right?
Right.
And the Most Wanted. Yeah, these are already out. Like Mario Kart, Resident Evil. That was all out.
Yeah.
So these are people saying these are the best games ever made, right?
Or just they were everyone's favorite games right then.
Right. But I think at the time, during these days, I think a lot of people thought that what was current and newest was the best. We were currently getting the best games that were ever made. And I think as time went on, then a lot of people look back to their previous generations and they're oh, well, some of the previous generation games might have aged a little better than we thought.
But I think that a lot of these are just oh, these are our favorite games right now.
It's cool to see Wall Arms on there.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have necessarily expected that.
Most Wanted. Look at this list, though. Look at this list of Most Wanted. Final Fantasy VII, Zelda 64, Resident Evil 2, Tomb Raider 2, Metal Gear Solid, Castlevania Symphony of the Night.
I can't believe that wasn't out. Was that really not out?
I think that came out probably the month after this came out.
Wow.
But look at it. Ingrandia for the Saturn, GoldenEye. Look at those heavy hitters, though.
Grandia for the Saturn. Now, it came out on Saturn before PlayStation. Is that correct?
It was developed on Saturn, yeah.
Yeah. So that's interesting.
But I mean, look at those heavy hitters. That's pretty.
Those were games that were coming out in this era.
These people wanted these games, and they didn't realize that the games that they wanted were going to end up being, even today, some of the best games ever made. These people had no idea that
these games are games that had a legacy.
Yes.
And some games that might be on a list like this today, they might be kind of forgotten in a few years.
Yeah.
Not that they wouldn't be good, but these are. This is a crazy. Something that always interests me. Looking at Metal Gear Solid, I didn't know anything about. You played. Of course, I don't think at the time you realized that Kojima was behind Metal Gear as well as Snatcher.
I did. I knew it was.
Oh, you knew
because Metal Gear is in Snatcher.
Oh, okay. But I didn't realize. I didn't know who Kojima was until I started getting into the Metal Gear series. I didn't know about Metal Gear on the NES at the time. I didn't know about Snatcher. I didn't know about Kojima. So it always interests me looking back and seeing people hyped for Metal Gear Solid and not discovering its greatness when it came out. People were anticipating it.
Right.
And to me, at the time, it looked like a game that had no known pedigree behind it. Nothing that it wasn't obvious to me that it was going to be amazing. Obviously it was, but it wasn't like, I didn't know it was something to be anticipating.
Right.
And I remember a friend had, of course, Metal Gear Solid, that came out in like late 98. This is like a year before it came out. Didn't it come out in later 98? Like fall 98?
Yes.
Because
it came out the same day as Xenogears came out.
It came out pretty close to Ocarina, I want to say. Because I remember a friend of mine...
Yeah, Ocarina was like a month after that.
It was like November 20-something, 98.
Right.
But a friend of mine had a choice of getting Metal Gear Solid and Tenchu. And he was really glad that he chose Tenchu because he said, you know what, I heard Metal Gear Solid is really short. He later did get Metal Gear Solid, and we were like, okay, this game is amazing. Like
stealth. It was like a
but he chose between the two stealth games, and he thought he made a really good choice with Tenchu.
First Tenchu is really good.
I do want to go. I do want to play those games. I play them a little bit. So here's Croc.
Croc, which I didn't realize until recently, until somebody said it. But did you know Croc was originally supposed to be Yoshi's Island 64?
What?
Yeah.
Like, developed by a Western developer?
Yeah, and then...
Did they just, like, think they could pitch it to Nintendo and Nintendo said no?
I don't know. I don't know how it worked out, but somebody told me about how it was originally supposed to be Yoshi's Island 64.
I want more sources on this. I don't know if I quite believe it. I've never played Croc. Now, is this Croc or Croc 2? There is a Croc 2, right?
There is a Croc 2, yeah. But this
I thought the original Croc was, like, older. Like, older than this. Like, I thought it was, like,
makes sense.
95 or something.
Mm-mm.
No?
No.
I wonder if I'd like it.
Because I had only had my PlayStation at this point for
I mean, you know,
a couple months.
I like platformers. What's this?
That's just
reader letters and art.
Yeah, it's just art, yeah.
Fan art.
A lot of good Final Fantasy.
Yeah, man.
Ubisoft.
You know, in these days, like, I feel like Ubisoft hadn't really, you know, come much into its own in this generation, but the following generation, you know, GameCube, PlayStation, Xbox, I feel like Ubisoft was like, I thought of them as one of the good guys.
Yeah.
Like, I really liked Ubisoft stuff. Like, if in terms of Western developers, like, generally speaking, I felt like you could kind of count on their games being pretty interesting. I feel like last generation, you know, they started to lose their way. They got a little too big for their own good in a way.
Yeah.
But, you know, a lot of people hate Ubisoft now. I wouldn't say I hate them, but they tend to not make a lot of stuff that interests me. But, you know, there was a phase of Ubisoft just sort of kind of after this generation that I thought they were really good. Hercules.
Disney one.
Action game. You know, I saw Hercules in theaters. I don't think I've seen it since. I remember liking it, but since then I learned that it was not one of the more popular
I've never seen it.
Disney animated cartoons. I kind of hate it now because the Hercules world is in basically every single Kingdom Hearts game.
Oh, right.
And not only that, it is like this arena battle world in most, and it's like, it's just so annoying. I'm so sick of the music that plays in those parts, and I really hope it's not going to be in Kingdom Hearts 3. So I kind of hate it now just because for whatever random reason it is way overdone in Kingdom Hearts.
Oh, here we go.
Viewpoint.
Yeah, these are the review crew.
So they're just, here, Croc for the PlayStation. These are higher scores for Croc.
Yeah.
These guys, like, these are high scores for everything though, so I don't know.
They got sent me the night though. 99, 99, 96. Let's see what they have to say here. So the PlayStation can't do 2D, huh? Nami begs to differ.
Wow. Clock Tower. I want to play the Clock Tower series.
My brother gave that to me recently. Yeah. I didn't realize it was kind of
I'd kind of like to start with the Famicom one.
Yeah. Over here we have a working designs ad for their Sega Asia's compilation.
Oh, am I right in thinking did that come out or not?
Yeah.
Okay, it did come out.
Yeah.
You have it?
It's I don't. I actually have these games all the separate versions.
Okay, I think that's why I was confused.
They removed like the remix music from Outrun on this because it wouldn't all fit on one CD. In Japan, these were all released on their own discs.
Okay.
And they compiled them onto
You
one.
You streamed them a little bit.
Yes. They compiled them onto one disc, but they wouldn't all fit unless they removed some of the additional audio tracks from Outrun. So it makes it so it's not like the definitive.
Well, here's more reviews.
Yeah, there's going to be a lot of them. Ghost in the Shell. Ghost in the Shell is a very good game on the PlayStation 1.
Like, these, like, from, well, Lost World's got bad reviews, but, like, most of these are, like, 80s and 90s.
It's funny, Lost World, like, so we went from the first Jurassic Park coming out to...
Oh, yeah.
That's kind of a big gap.
Yeah.
But, I mean, it makes sense.
You know, I remember liking Lost World. I haven't watched it in a long time. I haven't watched it in a long time, but
it's never good.
I remember I was young, you know? I remember liking it.
Over here we have another Working Designs game. So much like we talked about before with Arena and the Flying Edge, Working Designs did a separate label under them. We had like more the like non-RPGs that they wanted to release, so they did Spaz.
Yeah, that's on the I've got Silhouette Mirage, and it's an obnoxious logo. It goes, hey, Spaz! Yeah. When it loads up. I hate it. I really hate it. Twitch games, nothing else.
Raystorm, I believe I have Raystorm, and they also did the sequel to this, Ray Crisis. This is a Taito game. Really? Remember Taito?
I sure do. That wasn't true.
Clay Fighter.
Clay Fighter got some high rank. Well, at least one guy really liked it. Other people.
Mega Man X4.
Oh.
Mischief Makers over here.
That's a great game.
Yeah.
Marina's Pest Control blasts evil emperors, monsters, and bad guys out of this world.
You know, looking at stuff like this, like you don't see this kind of stuff anymore. You don't see print ads that try to like catch your attention.
Yeah, I mean, I've never liked print ads that much.
Really?
No, I mean, I've always thought they were kind of obnoxious.
I used to, like certain games, I just like pour over the tiny little screenshots in them.
Well, but you know what's interesting though? I mean, I had Nintendo Power, and it didn't.
About Megan, the little blue man is bad.
But you know, I had Nintendo Power. That was my main magazine exposure, and then they didn't really need like a lot of advertisements in it for them.
Right.
They had like a lot of stuff like for they had like advertisements for like I don't know like High C and pizza bagels and crap.
Oh.
So like, and they always had these like super obnoxious like kids drawn advertising these like food products or like Nickelodeon TV shows and stuff, rather than games. More so that kind of stuff than games. At least that was my recollection.
Right.
But Mischief Makers, I remember the VHS tape that came for Star Fox 64, which had been out just a couple of months at the time of this video. Or at the time of this video. I'm so used to saying that in videos. At the time of this video, disclaimer, just in case you're watching this like 2 years after it came out and something changed. At the time of this magazine, Star Fox 64 was only a few months old, and I was convinced to buy Star Fox 64 by the Nintendo Power VHS tape. And they had a sizzle reel at the end, and they have Mischief Makers. It's this 2D platformer. And at the time, we were like kind of starved on this sort of game, and that was like super appealing to me at the time. I was like, wow, that's like so unique, a 2D game on the N64, and I really wanted to play it. And a friend ran it, and we loved it. But I never got it until, I don't know, I probably got it maybe around either late high school or early college.
So ways.
Actually, I was 16, I think, because I've got a file on my cartridge that says age 6, or maybe it's 17, age 6. So I got probably like 2000, 2001. So a little after the N64's day, but not too far.
Oh, Bushido Blade.
Bushido Blade. This is a Squaresoft fighting game, right?
Yeah, it's kind of a unique fighting game in that it's pretty much like one-hit kills.
Really?
Yeah.
Interesting. I don't know if I'm not really into fighting games.
It's pretty
for
cool.
The most part, but there could be some appeal to that. We're advertising. Oh, there's Saturn Bomberman.
Yeah, it's advertising the Netlink.
What's that? I don't know what Netlink is.
It's the online thing.
I didn't know there was online for
It's
Saturn.
the modem.
There's a Saturn modem.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Called the Netlink.
Well, I mean, so you could play Bomberman online?
Yeah, look at it.
Why should the military have all the fun?
Now
you too can blow people away from across the country. Saturn Netlink brings full screen, full speed online gaming smack dab into your sweet little home. When you're done kicking long distance butt, surf the net, trade email, or chat with others through the Netlink browser. And now you can score a Saturn Netlink with 2 bonus games for a piddly $99.99. Wow.
Look at this, blowing up New York.
Whew, you would not have that today.
No.
You would not have that today. Duke Nukem 3D, Daytona USA, Virtual On, Sega Rally, and Bomber Saturn. So you can play those games online.
Yeah.
I had no freaking clue.
Yeah, it's pretty cool, right?
I had no idea. It must have not been very popular.
I didn't know anybody that used it.
Did you need another online service?
The other person had to.
It?
No, I don't know exactly how it worked because I've never used it. I don't know if it's direct to direct. I mean, you could do it with some games. Is
it like a cartridge that goes in the slot or?
Yes. Yeah. And you plug the phone line into it.
I had no idea.
Did you know about the X Band at all?
For what?
The X Band went connected to the Super NES or Genesis, and you could play online too.
Like a third party thing?
Yeah.
No, I didn't know about that.
And you could play Street Fighter 2 online with it.
Really? That's probably pretty bad.
I don't know how well it was.
I had absolute. So is this like the first official online from?
No, there was a
from a major console manufacturer.
There was a modem for the I don't know if it released for the Genesis. There was a modem.
Wow. I mean, me and my family, we were late getting into computers and the internet and stuff, and so, I just didn't know. All right. Whoa, that is a lot of piercings. Sonic Jam, Sega hard stuff. This is how extreme Sega is.
Yeah.
Sega is extreme with a capital X.
Yeah, it's got the rings.
So they're advertising Genesis games, and this is...
No, it's not a Genesis game.
Sonic Jam. Okay, gotcha. What is...
That's just like the 3D free roaming thing. So you can cruise 3D Sonic Museum.
Oh, okay.
This was kind of like a big deal because there was no Sonic game on the...
there was no...
Well, there was
Sonic R.
Or I don't know if 3D Blast was before this either. But there's no mainline series.
Yeah, that is a weird thing, especially considering the Genesis was popular in Japan, or the Saturn was popular in Japan.
Right.
But I mean, I've heard, I haven't heard a lot about this, but I've heard it's a decent. Is it decent?
I used to have it. I wish I still had it.
Hocus Pocus. What is it?
It's just giveaway stuff. So this game over here, One. It's kind of a run and gun. It's not bad. I just remember. It's one of my favorite story setups. Okay. So when you start the game, it's this guy sitting in his apartment. It's this slow pan in. It's from outside of an apartment building. And I gotta say, I haven't played the game in years, so my memories might be wrong. Okay. But it's a slow pan in to his window.
Do you still have the game?
No, okay. I should really get it though.
Okay.
And I'll go
slow pan into the apartment window.
And it's just
does it go through the apartment window?
I don't remember.
Okay.
But anyways, it's just this guy that goes, "I made a mistake," and then suddenly the game starts, and he missiles come at it, and he blows up, and he jumps out of the building, and the game starts.
He made a mistake that caused missiles to come at him.
Well, somebody was after him, but I think it's just funny because that's the entire setup.
He just says, "I made a mistake."
That's it. That's how I remember it.
I think you'll probably be disappointed when you go back and watch it. It's not exactly like you remember. Maybe your disc skipped
No, definitely not.
What we got here? Mini strategy guides.
Oh.
Well, this is just a few tips for mischief makers. Actually, it looks like, does it go all the way through to the end? They were really dialing it in by 5.8. They just say, once again, don't get hit.
Yeah, they had only a little bit of space left, so.
Yeah. Sub-Zero. What is
this? Is the side-scrolling. It's first.
But who the heck is that? I mean, that looks
that's
like
Quan Chi. He would be in later game. He was in Mortal Kombat 4.
This game, people were kind of hyped about this, but it ended up being pretty bad.
Yes.
But I remember people thinking it was going to be super good.
Yeah, I mean, it looked cool.
Time Crisis.
Yeah.
Look at this.
Cheat menu. I had to use the cheat menu to beat the game.
Treasures of the Deep. Mass Destruction.
Look at these.
Telegames for the Jaguar. Recent sightings of an endangered species.
Yep.
Yeah, I guess the Jaguar was an endangered species.
So there's links and... Yep, so they're probably just trying to offload all of their old stock. Stock.
Wow, that's pretty gruesome. These people are squished by the
Yeah.
Mass Destruction. That game must have not made much of an impact.
I remember the name though.
PlayStation and Saturn. Yeah, I don't know it.
Oh, here we are. That's the Street Fighter EX right here.
Is that polygonal?
Yeah. This Street Fighter EX series. This was Street Fighter EX plus Alpha.
I didn't realize there was a polygonal Street Fighter before 4.
Street Fighter EX 3 was polygonal, and it was a PS2 launch game in the US.
Wow. I played Rampage. I might have been the same game, World Tour. I don't know. I play it for N64. I've never owned it, but I kind of want it.
Yeah.
I enjoyed it.
I'm gonna grab my phone in just a second. Let's talk about this other one. I just heard it making a noise. I'm gonna make sure we're not going too late.
Oh,
it's fine.
Okay. So, isn't there a Is Nightmare one of the editors? The strategy guide for GoldenEye. A lot of people just called it 007 instead of GoldenEye.
I always heard GoldenEye 007.
Yeah,
I always called the GoldenEye. I never heard 007.
I don't like the. I mean, it's just that's not what the game's called. It's called GoldenEye. Dang it! They just put 007 on all the Bond stuff as it is. What the heck is going on here? The Magic Almanac?
It's Magic trading cards.
Okay. Is there anything worth noting about? I mean, you're talking about the secret levels in GoldenEye.
I don't know. There's some codes.
Yeah, but in GoldenEye, and this, I like this kind of more than the button combination sort of codes. You had to earn cheats.
Yeah.
To unlock them, you had to beat. Basically, you had to beat certain levels on particular difficulties in a certain amount of time. And I guess they're making notes of how difficult these are. I can't remember.
Insane.
I remember the facility. I mean, you have to beat that on the highest difficulty.
In 2 minutes?
In 2 minutes.
Did you do it?
I remember trying it so hard, and I don't remember for sure if I did that one. That one, I do think I remember that being the hardest one, though. I did unlock 00 Agent difficulty, and I can't remember how you unlock, or 007 difficulty, which is customizable difficulty. You can make it as easy as you want or hard as you want. I don't remember if you have to unlock all the cheats first, or if that's maybe just finishing the game on 00 Agent. But yeah, I mean, some of this stuff was hard. It was hard.
Oh, Ace Combat 2. It's a Namco game. Remember having a demo of that and playing it a whole bunch. MDK. What? Oh, this is all Shining Entertainment. We're back with Shining, Messiah, I remember, was supposed to be a huge, a sport, some crazy graphics at the time, on this little cherub guy.
So, I mean, Shiny was just, huge. They were just, pumping out tons of games.
Yeah, they were doing some pretty good stuff.
Wild 9, I never heard
Wild
of
9
that.
is a 2.5D platformer that I really want to get.
This is a horror game.
Sacrifice, yeah. A complex 3D environment has 60 frames per second.
Whoa. You don't see a lot of 60 frames games on the PlayStation.
Yeah,
Not in 3D.
Extreme G, like, it's kind of trying to capitalize on the lack of F-Zero at the time, probably.
Yeah. I mean, F-Zero came out, I want to say, was it 99? Or it might have been 98. I played at least one of the Extreme G games. I think the one I played was Extreme G3 on the GameCube. I don't think I played the N64 ones. And I didn't like it very much. I've never really liked any futuristic racing game outside of F-Zero. It's really the only one that, like, I don't even like Wipeout. Like,
right, I tried to like Wipeout.
I tried to like Wipeout too. I can't get into any of them but F-Zero.
I can appreciate Wipeout, but it's just didn't.
I think part of the thing is, like, all of these futuristic racing games, like, they want to have like the missiles and the combat and stuff.
Right.
And I feel like, to me, it just dilutes it too much. Like, that stuff is fine in Mario Kart, or if it was just a pure combat racer. But, like, these futuristic racing games already have this hook of it's really freaking fast.
Right.
And I feel like all the weapons and stuff just distracts from the pure speed.
Right.
I'm surprised. I thought, didn't some of these come to PlayStation? I'm surprised to only see the only for N64. I don't know why I thought they came to PlayStation. There's at least 3. There's a 3 on GameCube, but I want to say 3 may have come to, like, at least PS2. I don't think it was exclusive to GameCube. But 1 and 2 probably were only on N64. Tomb Raider 2. So I have largely ignored the Tomb Raider series. I played a little of Anniversary. My cousin had it. I played a little Anniversary on the Wii. I really liked it.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought about getting it, but I never did. And I played the reboot.
Right.
Tomb Raider. And I'm going to definitely absolutely get Rise of the Tomb Raider. And after I really enjoyed the new Tomb Raider, I thought about, going back and getting the PlayStation ones. You look at videos of them, and, like, sometimes it looks kind of okay still, and sometimes it looks kind of rough.
Yeah.
But it is a series that at some point...
You should, like, the first... A lot of people consider 2 to be the best.
Mm-hmm. I want to go back and play the early ones, though. I'm just kind of surprised to hear you say that there's, like, 5 or 6 for PlayStation. I didn't realize
that. Yeah, it was yearly.
I thought it was 1, 2, and 3. I thought that was it.
No, there's Last Revelation.
I knew there was a bunch on, like, PS2, but I'm shocked to hear. I remember, I want to say it was...
It was a big deal because she, like, changed her clothes in this one.
I want to say it was probably 2. I watched my cousin play a bit of 2, just a bit.
You should, if you see this someplace, you should just get it. It's probably not expensive.
Oh, I'm sure the whole series is really cheap.
Death Trap Dungeon.
Death Trap Dungeon, huh?
It's pretty risque. I mean,
what is it?
It's it's a
Death Trap Dungeon.
It's a PC game. Yeah, I mean, I never played it. I'm familiar.
And PlayStation.
Yeah.
Oh. Resident Evil 2 trial version.
Yep. So this is before. This is like the old version. This is before.
Oh.
No, you know what? Actually,
this isn't like before, like, they changed the other female character into Claire.
No,
right?
No.
Oh, yeah. Here's Claire.
This is a.
I've never seen this artwork of, like, Claire and Leon. I've never seen that before.
This is a review of the demo that came with Director's Cut, I believe.
Really? Like, this scene is in the final game. I don't recognize
all shots from the RA demo with RA Director's Cut.
I don't, like, remember off the top of my head, like, this scene here? Like, I wonder if some of this might not be in the final game.
It just plays until you get to the...
Packed with RA Director's Cut.
The liquor,
is it on the disc?
It's a separate disc.
I've got the Director's Cut, but I think I've only got one disc in it. Well, my Director's Cut... a double... Mine came in a single... My Director's Cut came in a single wide.
Right. I thought for a second this was the one before it was.
That looks scrapped. Like a shot from an FMV. Is that, like, supposed to be Birkin? I don't recognize that artwork. I've been discovering recently because I got the Japanese versions of Biohazard 1, 2, and 3 recently. I've discovered that there's like a lot of like artwork in those manuals. That, like I haven't seen anywhere else other than the Japanese manual.
2-page spread on a demo.
Well, I mean, frickin' Resident Evil 2 was a big deal.
Yes.
It was a big deal. And back in the day when like this came out, like I was scared to play these games. Like I thought they would be too much for me. And a friend of mine was into them, and I watched I at least watched like the intro for Resident Evil 1 because it's amazing. I watched him play probably most of Resident Evil 2 and some of 3. And I gave Code Veronica a try for like an hour or so. But I never like really got into the series until there was that brief time where it was like exclusive to Nintendo, the remake, and then all of these games came to GameCube, and those are the versions that I mainly played. I'm a huge Resident Evil nut now. But like at the time, like they intimidated me. I don't think necessarily because I thought they would be too scary, but I think like I just thought they looked really hard.
Yeah. So look at this really quick. It says the disc is an hour-long playable demo. Plus, it has an hour-long playable demo of Mega Man Neo on it.
Oh, is that like Mega Man Legends codename?
Mm-hmm.
Interesting.
Shadow Master. I never played it. I don't know anything about it.
I don't think I've ever heard of it.
It's a Psygnosis game.
Tetrasphere. This is a game. It's hard for me to express my feelings on this game, like because people. There's a lot of people who really love Tetrasphere.
Mm-hmm.
And I rented it, like, because at the time, like, I don't know, puzzle games were, like, I rented, like, a lot of puzzle games back in that time. I don't know why, I just did. I really didn't like Tetrasphere. Like, you, like, turn it around, and, like, all you're doing is, like, laying like shapes on top of like shapes.
Right.
It just didn't interest me that much. But the thing that really got me, like, the music was so... I don't think I would be as offended by it now as I was at the time, but it's very like slow-paced, mellow, techno-y sort of stuff. It was at the time. It just seemed so depressing. It grated on me. I really hated the music at the time. I think I'm a little more open-minded about music now than I was at the time.
Yeah.
Like at the time, like I mostly wanted like sort of orchestral type stuff.
Yeah.
Even if it wasn't true orchestral, I wanted to be of that genre. Mm-hmm. And at the time, like it was just way too techno-y for me. Though I look at this. This is the Japanese Gun Con.
No, it's not. That's the U.S. one.
It's black.
No, it's gray. What are you talking about? That is definitely gray. And plus it's got this in it.
Well, it's darker. At least the way they shot this is very shadowy.
Yes.
It looks almost black. Like it's not.
I don't see that at all. No.
I mean, it's very dark.
It looks dark over there, but it.
I mean, the top, like, I don't know if that's just because the light's hitting it there, but like it doesn't to me look like. But this is funny. Like, this kind of advertisement would not be accepted today, I don't think. Hey, kids, get one free in specially marked boxes of Time Crisis. With the most accurate gun available for the PlayStation console, Time Crisis is a can't-miss proposition. But, like, of course, it's only a T-rated game. But still, that kid is clearly not 13. I don't
Right.
think. So, like, this would not be considered acceptable today.
Yeah. And then there's the other hand.
The most accurate gun. Was there any? I'm not aware of other guns on PlayStation. Look at those exclamation marks. They really mean it.
Look at this over here.
Klonoa of the Wind, Door to Phantom Isle.
Yeah.
Namco invites PlayStation owners on a magical, super skilled polygonal platforming adventure at 60 frames per second.
Like they were making a big deal about the frame rate.
Yeah, I remember how big...
GameFan was the only one making a big deal about frame rates and stuff like that.
Well, see, Were they originally going to call it Klonoa of the Wind?
I think so, yeah.
Again, I was
because the Japanese version is Kaze no Klonoa. Kaze no Klonoa. I think that's probably what it translates to.
But again, at the time, I was mostly only paying attention to Nintendo. I had a friend with a PlayStation, but I didn't intend to get one at the time, and I finally got one. I want to say 99.
Mm-hmm.
But at the time, I was mostly paying attention to it. And I didn't realize that retro games were running at 60 frames.
Right.
And I remember Nintendo Power was making a huge deal about how F-Zero X was going to be 60 frames, because that was just like practically unheard of on the N64. Right. And same with the PlayStation. And at the time, like, for all I knew, like, F-Zero X was like the first 60 frames game ever. The only one.
Yeah.
I mean, because they were making such a big deal out of it, and I just didn't realize. And, they were explaining how, the graphics may not look like much, but it's that way so that it can run at 60 frames.
Right.
But that's interesting. Klonoa of the Wind.
So now you kind of get the feeling of how their layouts were. Like, look at these screenshots. Like, they're like...
Look how pixely this is.
And that's... Yeah, it's like...
Like, how do you think they got that?
I have no idea. I mean, these are like good-looking screenshots.
Yeah, the Japanese version, which I just got.
Yeah. So that's why they called it Klonoa of the Wind. Because it's just being.
Yeah, classic old school gameplay plus 90s poly skills. 90s poly skills.
It doesn't. I don't know. They just made up their own whatever stuff.
Their own language, but I thought. I played the Wii version of this, and I thought it was really easy, but they're making it sound like
this version's a lot harder.
Challenge. Oh, is it really?
Yeah. I mean, you had like 6 life hearts, and that's you only have 3.
Oh, okay.
I think it's better. I like it better. Crash 2?
Crash 2? I part of me still kind of wants to get into the Crash series. Like, people say that, no, Crash 1 really is kind of bad.
Yeah, it doesn't have very good... It's pretty tough.
But like Crash 3 looks, or was it Crash Bandicoot Warped, I think? Like, it looks like a really good game to me.
Just like a...
But I'm going to do Spyro first. I've got Spyro 1. I still haven't played it, but it looks like Spyro 1 seems to, at least for the little bit I've played, seems to have held up like extremely well. Crash, I'm not so sure, but I still kind of want to play it, just for Naughty Dog.
It's like a fold-out ad. Interesting.
There we go. Well, I don't know.
Here's some more Crash 2. Really, I haven't played this one.
Really flowed, though. Crash 2. But you've played a good bit of Warped, though, right?
Yeah, a decent amount.
Oh, here we go. Mega Man Neo. Rockman Neo.
Is that what it's... That's not what it was called, actually, in Japan.
In Japan, it's called... Oh, shoot. What's it called? Rockman Rush.
Oh, okay.
I think. Or Dash. Is it Dash?
Yes, yeah, Dash.
Rockman Dash. I like the name Mega Man Legends better.
I want to say, like, no Tron's name.
Who but Capcom to create a 3D polygonal game with the simplistic realism of those hand-drawn. That's really worded. During a recent press tour focused mainly on the unveiling of the superlative Resident Evil 2, a life-altering experience.
Yeah.
Capcom whipped out this little gem, which is taken on an entirely new look since unveiling at E3. At the E3.
At the E3.
The E3, the Electronics Entertainment Expo. For starters, much of the game is set up through impressive real-time cinemas, complete with full speech and excellent cinematography. The action itself is a mixture similar to that found in Zelda and Goemon 64. I don't really agree, but okay. Huge landscapes and massive towns make the way to 3D action levels at present consist of mainly corridors. Okay, this is layout. It is weird. Yeah. It's like laid out. Player looks from behind Mega Man, can move, blah, 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 blah. I mean, this looks pretty close to the final game, I think. I don't remember that store.
Neo features real-time cinemas with full speech and flawless animation. It's like watching a 3D anime.
It really is,
action
though.
Scenarios.
It really is, though, because it like holds like this game is like, well, this and 2 and Tron Bond really
visually hold up really well.
really are like the PlayStation's Wind Waker. Like, it's got this flat look. Like, the way that the characters have, like, the sprites on their face, like, change, for different eye movements and expressions and talking. It really does. Like, it holds up so well. Extremely well. Like, this is, I would say, maybe not at the time, but today, I would say that this is possibly the best looking PlayStation game. Legends 2 probably is. But, like, between the two of them, they might be the best looking PlayStation games. Yeah. Just because the style holds up so well.
Look at the names here. His minions and his underling. Torin. Set sail for Cadillac's Island.
An unnamed spy pirate and his underling Torin. So is that... I guess that must be what they were calling Tron at the time.
Yeah. That's just
or at least
how it
translating. Tron. Gosh, I can't imagine her name being anything but Tron Bon.
Test Drive 4. I was never a big driving game.
I vaguely remember that name, Test Drive.
Yeah, I remember Test Drive. But Gretzky 98. Shipwreckers. That's another Psygnosis game.
Really?
Yeah.
They were cranking them out.
Psygnosis.
Ogre Battle Limited Edition for PlayStation.
Yeah, I used to have that.
Ogre Battle 64 was a big deal for the N64 just because, it was they were so RPG starved, and even though it's not really an RPG, anything that vaguely resembled an RPG for the N64 was gold.
Yeah.
Except, I say it was gold, but people hated Quest 64 because it wasn't Final Fantasy 7, but Quest 64 is actually not that bad of a game. It just wasn't what people were looking for in RPGs at the time.
Right. MDK. I never played the first MDK.
Neversoft. Neversoft did Tony Hawk.
Yeah. And would later go on to Guitar Hero, which would kill them.
Aerofire's Assault. This is generally considered a pretty decent game. It's not really my thing, but
is that the one it's really expensive?
It's fairly expensive. Complete is a little bit expensive.
Can you sell it?
So a friend of mine gave me all of his like N64 and Genesis stuff, and I gave you a good chunk of the Genesis stuff because I didn't want most of it. This little kid, I say little kid, he was probably like 13. Mm-hmm. Wanted to get into N64 collecting. Like he like started building, like he wanted to get like a complete N64 collection. I was like, good on you, kid. And I had some of these games, and I showed them to him, and I sold them to like a bunch of complete inbox N64 games. I sold them to him for like $9.
Yeah, so he made out.
He made out really good. I didn't want to rip the kid off. I didn't want to go through the effort to get more money out of the games. It's like I felt like I helped a young collector on his way.
Yeah,
I felt good about it.
I do wish you told me you had them. So Jet Moto. That was one of the 989 or Sony. I think Sony developed it internally, but would later on go to be 989 Studios, and they made like Jet Moto 3, and then they did like Twisted Metal 3 and 4, and all the sports games, and they were kind of a big Sony first party or second party.
And Marvel
Superheroes. This is the
fighting game.
Yeah,
Genesis Saturn or no PlayStation Saturn. All right. Cool Borders 2. This is like a PlayStation snowboarding game.
Yeah, that was another Cool Borders.
Snowboarding was big in the late 90s. I feel in general. Gex. Is this the 2D one?
No, this is the second.
Enter the Gecko. Okay, this is the one that was ported to N64.
Or is Gex 3 Enter the Gecko?
I don't know. This might be the one that was ported to N64. Is that thing that just call it Gex 64, which I ran.
Probably.
At the time, I liked it, but I think I would find it really obnoxious now.
Yeah, I don't know if that was the first one. Second one. Look at this thing.
Oh yeah.
The video game control.
The video game control glove. Very clever name.
Look at this. Like that's a great.
TheGlove.com.
Yeah. The Glove.
Reality Quest The Glove will change the way you play games. So said GamePro just a few months ago.
Yeah.
Well, it obviously didn't make that big of an impact. But
I mean, it's neat.
I think I've seen it before. Critical Depth. Looks like a
another sea treasure game.
Yeah. Developer, single track, publisher GT Interactive. I don't really know GT Interactive.
Bravo Air Race. Never played that. It's like a racing.
Oh,
here we go.
Oh man, Symphony of the Night. Castlevania turned 10 years old. Like, can you believe there was a time when Castlevania was only 10 years old? A milestone that came and went with no announcement, no excitement, and worst of all, no new Castlevania. That feels. Are we talking about 1997?
Yeah, 10 years old now. It's like almost 30, right? It's gonna be 30.
It came and went, and also came and went with no excitement and no announcement. And worst of all, no new Castlevania except a new Castlevania pachinko machine.
Yeah.
Well, maybe we had to wait a year to truly celebrate, but the present was definitely worth it. Castlevania Symphony of the Night is an incredible addition to one of the game industry's most celebrated series. You know, something I've wondered recently. You know, it seems like anymore when a series tries to do something that is totally outside of what people expect from the series, even if it is well executed, people hate on it.
Yeah.
And this game established a totally new type of gameplay for Castlevania. It becomes an RPG. It doesn't become about challenging platforming. It's this Metroidvania, established Metroidvania.
What do they call it? Like gatekeeping or whatever they call it. What do they call it?
What, the Metroid sort of?
Yeah, where you have to get an item to progress through certain gates. I mean, gates that like are more. You need that item to. Yeah.
But you know, back in this day, people ate it up. When I finally got it a couple of years later, I did too. And but it's interesting because I feel like today, if Castlevania continued being this action series and people got this today, they'd be like, eh. But back then, it almost seems like we were more open-minded to something that totally changed how Castlevania was.
You think about like Zelda 2 when people weren't very open-minded to that.
Yeah, that's true. Screenshots
they were, but once they
it's interesting. It's just interesting to me that this was, and rightfully so well revered, but it was totally different. Totally different.
Yeah, this is an incredible game, and Konami should be praised for having the courage to make a traditional 2D game on a primarily 3D platform.
Yeah, it's so interesting to think how like 2D games were. It was like, wow, so daring to make this 2D game. At the time we thought 3D was the future, and now it's like, oh, we want 2D back.
It's G Police. I didn't really play it. I don't know if it's free roaming or not. It might be on Rails. See, here's Street Fighter EX plus Alpha.
And so this is the thing. I had no idea. I really had no. I mean, I'm not a big fighting game guy, but I literally had no idea. Is it like considered any good?
Snap limbs, expose marrow,
beat them down. Wow, that's violent.
There's nuclear.
You know what?
Nuclear strike.
You know, I feel like this might have been one of those crappy games that I reviewed for that site.
Maybe.
I forget. I might have been able to get a copy of this. I can't quite remember.
There's Croc.
I wonder if I would like this game. Man, it looks nice.
It was reviewed by the governor.
Really?
The governor. It specifically says the governor.
This ain't no Croc.
It is.
Legend of the Gobos. There was a Croc too, though.
I always thought Legend of the Gobos is what I always called it. I never heard Gabos. Oh, there's some good stuff on the next page.
Point Blank. Oh man.
What is it called in Japan? Gun barrel.
Gun something.
I thought it was Gun Bullet.
Gun Bullet. Yes, that's a great name. Gun Bullet. That's it. Yep. Hi ho, hi ho. It's off to Gun Bullet Island we go.
I wonder if it's actually called Gun Bullet Island in the game.
I don't know. But it's a great series. It's like a light gun WarioWare before WarioWare.
Right. But it has like the RPG elements and stuff. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, I was just playing some Point Blank 3 a couple of weeks ago. This one though has like this RPG mode.
Yeah, that's what
and Point Blank 3 doesn't really seem to have a fleshed out single player mode of any description, so I was a little disappointed.
Huh? I heard the 2 is the best one. We should try it.
It's fun, but Ghost in the Shell.
Yeah, very good game.
Yeah,
like not what you expect out of a Ghost in the Shell game.
My only exposure to Ghost in the Shell media is the first anime movie. Which at the time
it's not a standalone complex, is it? Or is that a series?
That's a series, isn't it?
Oh.
I think
the first movie. No, the first movie, Ghost in the Shell, it's
just Ghost in the Shell.
Yeah, which is what this is based on.
Okay, yeah, it was.
I was gonna say that's the only one I've seen too.
I want to see some more Ghost in the Shell stuff. Like it seems interesting, but I just it was weird. It was weird. I wasn't too into it at the time.
It's a more expensive game these days.
Really,
yeah.
But it's good. You say?
Yeah, it's kind of cool. You drive this kind of tank bug around. It can crawl on all surfaces.
Is that a thing from the movie? I don't remember it.
No, it's not. That's
kind of weird. Bushido Blade. Okay. Lightweight / Squaresoft. I wonder who they were. Lightweight.
I don't know. Clock Tower.
Yeah.
Sheer Terror. I wonder. Oh, I get it.
Because it's like a tower.
No,
like
because you're
drop?
avoiding Scissor Man.
Oh. Perhaps the rapper. I can't play rhythm games.
Yeah,
but I like the style of them. They've got a cool style.
I just have Jammer Lammy.
Yeah, we've got some footage of that in our episodes. Power Slave 2 in development. What the heck is that?
I don't know.
Looks weird. Mortal Kombat Mythologies. Is that like another one of those platform sort of things?
No, that's the same one as we were watching, or that we saw the thing earlier.
Sub-Zero?
That's a Sub-Zero, yeah.
But they called it something different.
That's called Mortal Kombat
Mythologies Sub-Zero. Oh,
yeah.
Okay. I don't know what this Excalibur game is.
Excalibur 2555.
Enter the Gecko. Here's this one.
There it is. I made a mistake.
You remember Blasto?
Yeah.
They made a big deal out.
Because Phil Hartman was the voice.
I'm drawing a blank on who that is.
Phil Hartman, he was on SNL.
Oh, okay. Weren't they hyping that up as like the best 3D action game ever at the time?
Yeah, I know. I haven't played the game since it came out, but I feel like in my mind it was a completely 480i game.
Really?
Yeah.
Maybe you should get it.
No.
You'll probably see it tonight.
Probably.
I think I'll play a demo disc of it.
Pandemonium 2 is a game that I want to play because it's a 2.5D game.
It's Crystal Dynamics.
Yep.
2.5D by Crystal Dynamics. That's interesting. I'm not getting much of a sense from the pictures of how it plays.
Yeah, it should be 2.5. The first one is.
Okay, here's Sonic Jam. Memorabilia. It looks like anime or cartoon.
You can look at different video and stuff.
It's like a touring car.
Yeah.
I haven't heard of that.
X4.
Well, I do want to own this on disc.
This is the Saturn version. The Saturn version is considered to be better.
Really? But it's probably really expensive, I assume.
Yes.
The PlayStation X games, I just played X8, which I actually liked it. I liked it better than X4. Yeah. I like it better than any of the PS1 ones. X5 and X6 I think are terrible. This is passable. I think
this is by far the best PlayStation one.
Oh, it is. I like 8 more than this.
I mean in terms of X.
In terms of X, yeah. Oh, I agree with that absolutely.
Great soundtrack.
I just don't think it's it doesn't hold up to the Super Nintendo ones. Duke Nukem 3D. This is the Saturn version.
Yeah, and Quake over here. There it is.
Diddy Kong Racing. So
the DNN.
Die Hard News Network.
Well, so Game Fan it's called Die Hard Game Fan.
Oh, okay. So Diddy Kong Racing, it was interesting. Nintendo, in the N64 days, there was a lot of famous delays for Rare and Nintendo. And I forget if Ocarina was originally going to come out in late 97 I know Banjo-Kazooie was supposed to come out in 97. Yoshi's Story maybe was supposed to come out in 97. Ended up coming out, I think, February 98. But I thought, like, as soon as those games were delayed out of like the holiday window, like Nintendo had nothing. They had nothing for 97. And all of a sudden, like, I want to say it was like roughly 3 months before it released, Diddy Kong Racing was announced. And I thought, like, Rare, like,
made it.
Just, like, stepped up, like, to make this game, to make a game that they can make in, like, no time.
Yeah.
And, like, I thought this game was literally made in a few months. Like,
well, do we know how long? I wonder.
I don't know how long his development cycle was.
It was Conker in it.
I bet it was pretty short. Yeah, this was Conker before he was, foul-mouthed Conker. And it had Banjo before Banjo-Kazooie came out. And there was a lot of characters.
Really? This is before Banjo 1 came out?
Yeah. Now, we knew about these characters from Nintendo Power previews, but this was their first appearance in a game. Tip Top, he's kind of my go-to character. He is the turtle. And there's a turtle named Tip Top in Banjo-Kazooie.
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't look quite the same, but he's obviously kind of supposed to be from there. There's a generic Kremling from Donkey Kong, and then all the other characters never appeared in anything else. I remember, this stupid fan site that I wrote stuff for. I wrote an April Fool's article on it about Rare making a game that was like Tip Tup's Adventure or something like that. It was I don't remember exactly what I call it, but it was something. And like I did this horrible like Microsoft Paint, not Photoshop, but whatever I used for things. I had like a picture of Tip Tup and put like a gun in it. And I think I made some sort of fake screenshot, and there were several people who believed it.
Tip Top.
But yeah, I mean, this was I don't know if you've really played it, but I mean, it's an interesting game. I mean, it's it's an adventure. It's got a hub world. You collect balloons to unlock new paths, and you explore and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
It's an adventure racing game. It might be a little hard to go back to, but I get time. It looked like they're talking about Bomberman. This couldn't be Bomberman 64, is it? Oh, maybe. I thought Bomberman 64 was released sooner. I want to get Bomberman 64.
Not just the second one.
Well, the second one's crazy expensive.
I see. You might see it tonight.
Yeah, I mean, it's not a super high priority, but
Clay Fighter, bah.
Yeah, I mean, it's it was a big deal at the time, but it seems like most people have kind of accepted that it has not aged well.
Yeah.
Extreme G, we already kind of talked about that.
Yeah.
Top Gear Rally, I rented the original Top Gear Rally at least twice, I'd say. I rented I'm not a big car guy,
mm-hmm.
but I rented a good number of N64 racing games, and this, I played it. I played it a little bit of it not long ago, and it's smooth. It seems really smooth for an N64 game. It seems like it might have aged pretty decently, but I liked it at the time. Not like one of the most popular N64 games, but I did like it. Oh, here we go. What is this? This is Mystical Ninja starring Goemon. Goemon, one of my most... Who is this guy? Props to E-Storm.
E-Storm is Dave Helferson.
Goemon, one of my most anxiously awaited N64 titles of this slightly dry year, has finally made its way into my wanting hands. Albeit Japanese and difficult at times to play as a result, I have my secret weapon in place, a translator, and Konami's phone number. This game did not... I don't know how... this guy apparently was pretty into it.
Yeah. Is it weird, seeing, people a magazine about, these things that you wouldn't expect to be covered as, enthusiastically?
Well, yeah, because this game, Nintendo Power didn't review this game very well.
Mm-hmm.
I was under the impression it was not reviewed super well, maybe. But I loved it. I still love it. I plan to make like multiple series videos featuring Goemon games from various systems, because this was one of only 4 Goemon games to get localized, and there are tons of them. Some of the best ones were left only in Japan. But this is one of my favorites. This is the first one that I played. It's so quirky, so off the wall. Just an it's not the most polished game in the world, but it's fun. It just has a fun. It's just a fun vibe. Easily one of the best soundtracks on the system. My favorite soundtrack in the series, probably just because I've been exposed to it more than the others. But just a fun game. Yeah. I love it, and I look forward to look at this.
A 4-page.
Wow. I mean, this guy was obviously enthusiastic about and fought for this much coverage.
No, he was the editor in chief. He could
wow.
He could do whatever he wanted.
I bet they reviewed the game well when I don't remember exactly when it came out, but I bet they reviewed it well. San Francisco Rush. You just bought today.
Yep.
While we were at a pawn shop, we saw L.A. Rush, which I don't think either of us knew even existed.
Yeah, it's not gonna be as good.
I bet it's not as good, but it was $2.
Yeah.
It was $2. It just fascinated me. How bad could it be? I liked San Francisco Rush a lot when it came out. I ran it at least twice. I bought it again a few years ago, and I could not get back into it. And I don't. I sold it. I don't have it now. Though I kind of I don't know. I kind of might want to get. Look, this kind of looks like a Dreamcast car right here.
Maybe it was
for the Dreamcast day.
Now we kind of get into the sports section. Doesn't really do much for me,
We can no offense, but we can kind of probably speed on past this because we don't have a lot to say.
Yeah. A lot of all the 98 versions of every game.
Yeah.
Based off 98. Oh, except for wrestling. Wrestling was like pretty. WCW versus NWO. Oh, look at it.
What is this over here? Ultimate Sports Video Game Source.
The GSN.
Is it a magazine or website?
I think it was now
available at newsstands.
Yeah. I think
What's this? Japan Now. M2 canceled. D2's fates unknown. What? The only real loose end is D2.
See, Warp was Kenji Ino's company.
Oh, okay. Well, D2 eventually came to the Dreamcast, and I have it. I haven't played it, but I haven't played the first one yet.
I think either last year or the year before.
Yeah, I think it might have been longer ago than that. Then was this Chocobo's Dungeon?
Yeah.
Xenogears.
A screenshot.
N64 first party release update.
It's been a slow year for Nintendo. It looks like a slow year for Nintendo every year.
Yeah.
It's starting with the 64.
I mean, yeah. I mean, it's sad but true. But you know what? When they do release games, what's this? Kirby's Island. Kirby's Island is also said to be straddling that fine line between December and January. Kirby's Island. I wonder what that was.
A lot of things. Look at this.
Super Mario RPG 2, but I mean, it ended up being Paper Mario. But it didn't come out until 2001. Yeah. It probably came out in 2000 in Japan, though.
Coming around March with 3 to 5 launch titles. Mother 3, which has been officially titled Earthbound 64 in the US.
Mario Paint 64.
Really? Fire Emblem 64.
Pocket Monsters 64. That was probably end up being Pokemon Stadium. Tamagotchi style name Cabbage. That name sounds familiar. Cabbage. I don't think it was released, but that sounds familiar. Fire Emblem 64?
Yeah.
I had no idea they were planning one. Which was announced many months ago and is yet to begin development. Wow.
Yeah. Messing around with new ideas for Super Mario 64 2.
Yeah, right.
I hope they think of a catchy title.
Wow. Castlevania, Vandal Hearts coming to Saturn. Other new game announcements. Star Ocean Second Story. Something from the Ease team. They spelled it Wise. The Master System style. What's this? Shining Force 3.
Oh, right here, you mean? Oh, yeah, Shining Force. This is Grand Stream Saga right here.
Wow. There's a lot of stuff here that just didn't happen.
Yeah. That was, Against This Weekend is also in the process of being translated for the Saturn. I mean, no American releases planned.
I really want to look up more about this Kirby's Island.
Because
they
had to have been 64.
I know, but they're talking about
64 was like way later, though.
Yeah, it was a late release. Like, at least 99, if not 2000.
Yeah.
And it's just interesting. It says fine line between a December and January release. Well, this was October. So right. How would there have been there must have been, for them to have said that, whatever, they must have had screenshots of something for them to have even begin making speculation.
Yeah.
So what was it? I don't remember.
Kirby's Island. I don't know.
I don't remember other Kirby prototype games from that time. I need to look into that. I don't. That Kirby's Island. Panzer Bandit.
Looks like a
developer Fill In Cafe. Publisher Band Presto.
Looks like a fighting game. Maybe.
Oh, it
almost looks like Guardian Heroes.
Something about Metal Slug here.
Oh, is that Metal Slug X?
Viu Pointo.
There's Metal Slug. I don't know. Samurai Showdown. Oh, Samurai Showdown RPG.
These are nice graphics.
Yeah. What
is this? Neo CD, PlayStation, and Saturn comparison. Yeah. Oh. I mean, so what is this? Is this like a full-on RPG?
Yeah, it looks like it.
It looks good.
Yeah.
It looks really good. I wonder if it ever came out in America.
No, it definitely did not come out here. Huh. Now we get into some anime reviews. Neon Genesis Evangelion.
I didn't know they did this kind of thing.
Yep, anime fan. I don't know, it's just not really my thing. It was maybe for at the time, but
we just don't
I was more interested in it than that. But
we just don't have a lot of commentary on it.
Oh, here's some early Zelda 64.
Coming in December.
F-Zero 64. Yoshi's Story. Look at this. The PlayStation will be $99 by the end of this year.
What?
This is like the rumor stuff.
Okay. Yoshi's Story was at one time my most anticipated game.
Yes.
And it obviously was such a letdown. But I mean, it was the sequel to Yoshi's Island.
Yeah.
Or it should have been.
Well, that's why everybody was excited for it.
But Yoshi's Island was probably at the time my favorite game.
Yeah.
Maybe, Mario 64 was probably my favorite game at the time, but after that, Yoshi's Island.
Meanwhile, up in the Nintendo Treehouse.
No, they still call it that.
I like it's with the quotes around it.
No, that's what it's officially called.
Send us your old games.
What? Just send them. Receive a check back or purchase other titles. Yeah, well.
BRE Software. They still exist in some form, I think. Some letters to the editor.
Nintendo.
Now we're getting into
we're kind of getting.
Yeah, we're winding down here. A lot of ads, a lot of the mall, Game Fan Online. Oh, that's good stuff, though.
Yeah, it's been a long haul through this one.
Yeah.
Goe. What is this? Goemon 5, Nintendo 64.
Let me introduce you to my friend. Call me.
This is a weird advertisement.
Call me.
Call me,
I'm
not even sure that scene in that screenshot even exists in the game. They call it Goemon 5 Nintendo 64. I mean, there were 4 main Goemon games on the Super Famicom, but I mean there were more prior to that, so it's kind of weird to call it 5. Are these just Oh, these are just paid advertisements.
Yeah. You know, Game Cave. I think I'm. Yeah, you got the Wild Arms soundtrack right there. They might have been the one that I ordered.
I've got that Wild Arms soundtrack with that cover.
Yes, so do I.
I thought it was a newer print.
Nope. Game Cave. Oh, look at this. And they close it out. Fear has an address. An address.
What is it?
What?
What's the address?
I don't know. This place. Whatever it was ever on.
Well, they need to give me the address.
Yeah.
Castlevania is too vague.
1,000 rooms.
Neck hair was meant to bristle. For Formula 1 something or other. Well, there it is. Game Fan Volume 5, Issue 10 from October 1997.
Yeah.
That was good times.
Yeah.
You didn't get all the way off the screen. Do it again. Oh, it's gone.